This is Jen the Liberty Lion, and I just want to go over some stuff on torts. So, this is just information, never advice, and I'm just going to read stuff that's on the internet and give my 2 cents. So, we have the word tort here. I can listen to it, I think. Maybe not. A wrongful act or infringement of a right other than under contract. So that's what I want you to think about, other than under contract. So anything you sign most likely is probably a contract. Anything you sign. Also, a contract can be considered an act that you perform. So signing is an act that you perform, but also doing something is an act that you perform. So what kind of things can you think of that you have signed? A birth certificate, your parents signed your birth certificate. When you came of age, you signed maybe your social security card. You signed something to get a driver's license. You signed the driver's license. You signed to maybe register your vehicle to pay taxes. You signed a tax form. You sign your 1040s. You sign mortgage documents. You sign an agreement to pay property taxes. You sign all kinds of things that become contracts. So being a contract, they're no longer under your right to file a tort claim. Okay, so if they can prove that you have a contract which gave them the right to do the bad thing to you or infringe a right, then you no longer have a right to file a tort. So there's state tort and there's federal tort. And federal tort, they have a standard form 95, and it's for the appropriate government agency. How to file a tort is all I put in, and it came up with the federal tort claims information. Okay, so these would be torts unless you have a contract that you've signed. So I often talk about positive law and non-positive law. So it would appear that positive laws are already under contract with the state, and they're constitutional, and the federal government's supposed to mind their business, and the state's supposed to mind their business, and the business is laid out in that contract. And very little is supposed to affect the free citizens or free civilians of the states. But when you sign a selective registration card to be drafted, that's a contract. There's nothing in the Constitution that allows for a draft. So when you're signing these things, you have to stop and think that you're giving up your rights. You're maybe accepting some rights, but you're obligating yourself. And one of your obligations is to be drafted, to show up when you're called. But one of the rights you give up is your right to file a tort, because now they have a contract. All of these positive laws do not require a contract unless they specifically in the law requires a contract. Now the military, when they enlist, they're required to sign a contract, but the enlistment is strictly voluntary. But when they tell you you have to get a driver's license and you have to sign this and you have to sign that and you have to abide by all these rules, those are not in the Constitution. So they require you individually also to sign a contract, but in doing so, they remove some of your rights. So the non-positive laws appear to be those things not in the Constitution that allows the government to contract with individuals to take away their rights, including the right to file a tort. Now, if you don't sign their paperwork, you don't file a contract, and they still act against you, I don't know, maybe you might have a right to file a tort. And I'm just surmising this off of the Google AI experimental generative information. So here's the standard form 95. So a couple things on the federal forms. Form approved OMB number. It has to have this if it's an actual federal form. Okay, now down here, standard form 95 revised on February 2007. So this is Department of Justice 28 CFR 14.2. Okay, so that's what you want to look for. Claim for damage, injury, or death for your tort. Okay, now you have state tort claim. You'll have to look up your state's tort claim. I want to point out to you all the many things that you're required, or they say you're required to sign, or they advertise to you to sign. I don't remember if I posted a video on this yesterday or not, but advertisements, the federal government has a right, they claim, to advertise or propagandize to you to get you to sign contracts. Okay, the state also has that right to advertise to you, to lie to you, to deceive you, to get you to sign contracts. I'm doing an entire podcast on deception. And so you need to go through and watch some of those, and they're pretty good. Deception's pretty good. Now, if the Constitution is for establishing a military government, militaries are allowed to use deception. Okay, that's kind of one of the things they're supposed to be the best at, besides fighting, is deception. Because if you can deceive somebody to go in the way you want them to go, you can avoid fighting altogether. Okay, so here's Texas tort, and then it goes down to county also. Okay, so if my travel is impeded, is that considered a damage? Would I have a tort claim? If I'm told I have to sign something, like let's say I'm stopped by police and I'm told I have to sign something, or they say, well, it's not an admission of guilt, it's your promise to appear. Well, that's a contract, and the admission of guilt statement is just an advertisement. It's just propaganda. It's just deception to get you to sign it, to make you let down your guard so that you'll sign something, and then you make a contract. Once you make a contract, you no longer have the right to file a tort because you agreed. So just like the king and the queen of Britain, they don't sign anything. They're not allowed to sign anything, because if they sign something, someone can have their signature and they can turn around and say, well, that was part of a contract, and now you've contracted away your right to whatever. The same with us. If we're supposed to be king and queens of our own body and our own lives, then why would we just sign everything away and give up our rights to compensation when someone injures us? So think about all of the, tort is from the Latin word, which means twisted. Tort, think about all the things that you sign, and think about how any federal law not given a positive law citation, anything in those non-positive laws require you to sign things. We can look at that real quick. That's probably a good idea. So if we go down to domestic security, they want you to get all these transportation identification cards and boarding cards to get through the airport and all that stuff. It's like another it's just another contract, another way to contract with you to take away your rights. And then it obligates you to show these IDs whenever you want to board a plane. It may give government the right to put you on a watch list because you sneeze too hard in the airport. Agriculture. Okay, none of these have positive law citations, and so you might say, okay, well, you might have questions about that. So we go to Title 1, Chapter 3, Section, I think it's 204. Citation of codes. So every law has to come with a citation. Okay, so every law comes with a citation. This citation, the positive law citation, shows the court, the judge, or the justice that the law that he's looking at, the law that you're being brought in under, has been proven to be positive law, and so it's according to the Constitution. So it says, provided, however, that such titles shall have been enacted into positive law, the text thereof shall be, this is what it is, shall be legal evidence of the laws therein contained in all courts of the United States, the federal courts, according to the Constitution. Okay? And the positive law citation is a lot of times at the very front. If it's not at the front, it could be somewhere in the middle. The back could be the last page, but it's only the stuff that comes after the positive law citation that is positive or constitutional. So they can have a whole title, such as title, I think it's 23, highways. They have an asterisk here, which causes us to believe that there's a positive law citation, but when we look at it, we look in the front, there's no positive law citation in the front, which means it hasn't been passed into positive law, or it's hidden somewhere in there and it's only that thing or what comes after it that has been made positive. So for highways, what do you have to do? You have to have a driver's license, insurance, and all this other stuff. You have to sign all these things to travel, which is your natural right. And so they take away your natural right and your right to tort by having you sign all these things, these papers. Okay, there's a lady from J-Town Press who does videos, and she goes into public places and she does videos, and she says things like, okay, you're gonna arrest me, but I'm gonna turn around and walk right back out again. And she does, and she's like, she'll do an update and she'll be released within minutes. And I don't know why. I've emailed her. I haven't talked to her directly. We've spoken to each other through email, and I've asked her, what are you doing to turn around and walk right back out of jail? And she won't tell me. And I'm thinking possibly it's maybe she's getting the paperwork to file a tort, and she has the paperwork there ready to go before she goes into some place and has someone else go in and file the tort for her while she's sitting in jail, and then they just release her. Okay, so just some information on tort rights and how you give up your rights when you're under contract, and all the many, many, many things we sign to contract with the government, federal, state, county, local. All the things we sign, we're giving up our rights. This includes your right to carry, your right to purchase arms. When you go and you say, oh, you're going to open up a store and you're going to sell arms, then they say, well, you have to get a permit. Saying you have to do anything that is your constitutional right to do it is an advertisement to get you to sign a contract. And I have that somewhere right here on my desktop. I probably should have had it up, but I'll do a screenshot of it and then post it maybe in with the video when I post this video. All right, so just some things to think about: how many rights you're giving up when you sign contracts. We're giving up a lot of rights. maybe a few here and a few there and a few to someone else, but eventually we end up with no rights, and then we cry about being slaves when we're the one signing contracts and giving up our rights. Okay, like, share, subscribe. Please share the video. I appreciate all your help and all your subscriptions, and any help you can give to promote this channel is greatly appreciated. Be safe out there and try not to get into any fights.